Yo, it's your boy Jay Best, and welcome back to the Straight to the Point podcast, season 2, episode 31. On today's episode, I will be giving y'all a play-in tournament update and also giving y'all my picks for tonight's play-in games. And then I'll give y'all my NBA playoffs round one picks that starts tomorrow. I'll tell y'all who I think's gonna win every round. After that, I'm gonna talk about Jontay Porter, probably the biggest name of this week, and I'm gonna tell y'all why. And then the Miami Heat. All right, they got in trouble the other night. I don't did they lose to the 76ers, but they also lost Jimmy Butler. I'm gonna talk about how big of a impact that is. Then I'm gonna talk about the Lakers Nuggets rematch series. All right, I'm gonna talk about how the Lakers could possibly pull off this upset. And then at the end of this episode, I will answer the question: is it the end of a dynasty for Golden State? All right, that's a lot, but I'll move through it pretty quickly, so don't worry. We're not gonna be here too long. But as always, before I start any episode, I thank God for waking me up this morning, allow me to talk about sports, which is something that I love to do. And without him, I would not be here right now. So let's go ahead and let's get straight to the point. All right. First, the play-in tournament update. All right. On Tuesday, I did episode before Tuesday, predicting Tuesday's games. Tuesday and Wednesday's play-in tournament games. The Lakers did beat the Pelicans, which means the Lakers will move on to play the Nuggets in the first round. Because the Pelicans lost, they're going to play the winner, the team that won between the Kings and the Warriors, which was the Kings. The Kings beat the Warriors, so now the Pelicans and the Kings play tonight for that last spot in the Western Conference for the AC to go against the Thunder. All right, in the East, Miami lost to the 76ers, so the 76ers are going against the Knicks in the first round. But then Miami is playing the Bulls tonight because the Bulls beat the Hawks, and the Bulls and Miami will play for that last spot, which is the 8th seed, to go against Boston. All right, so there's your play-in tournament update tonight. Even though Miami lost Jimmy Butler, I'm still going to pick Miami to win that game just because I just love the Heat organization, right? And it's hard to see them not making the playoffs. So I believe they will make it, and they will play tonight and make it. Now, will they win round one against Boston? If Jimmy Butler was healthy, I will go with that. But I think I'm going to have them just winning tonight and probably losing round one. And then for the Western Conference, the Kings and the Pelicans. Zion Williamson, who put up 40 points against the Lakers the other night, is not playing tonight due to a hamstring injury. So, because of that, I think I got to go with the Kings. The Kings are a more complete team. Even though the Kings are missing players, they have their stars, right? They have De'Aaron Fox, they have Sabonis, all right? Look at the Pelicans. The Pelicans don't have Zion. The Pelicans have Brandon Ingram, but it's like they have half of Brandon Ingram. It's not the Brandon Ingram that we all know because he is coming back from injury, probably still a little dinged up. Last game, he got benched in the fourth quarter, so I don't know what's going on there. And then CJ McCollum was a shell of himself in the last game against the Lakers. But I don't think him and Bi can outplay. Him and Brandon Ingram can outplay Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox. So I got to go with the Kings in this last play-in tournament game for that last spot in the Western Conference. So I got the Kings and the Heat winning tonight. All right. So because I got the Kings and the Heat winning tonight, we can move forward to my NBA playoff round one picks. All right. These are going to be my picks for the first round. Not going to give y'all games or whatever because I know some people like to do that. Oh, I got the Nuggets and six and Nuggets, and I don't do all that. All right. I'm just going to give y'all the team that I believe is going to win the first round series. All right, so we're gonna start off on the Eastern Conference side. All right, the Eastern Conference side. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go with the Boston, and it will be Miami series, the one versus the eight. Look, I swear to y'all, I would pick Miami if Jimmy Butler was healthy, but because they don't have their star player, they already don't have a lot of scoring. Like they don't have a lot of stars on this team. So the fact that they're missing their main star is gonna make me go ahead and go with Boston. All right, Boston is a really good team. They had a historic year this year. They had the one seed locked up in like March, right? So I mean, this is just they had a dominant season, a great season under Joe Mazzulla, but we know what happened last year in the playoffs, right? We know what happened with Jaylen Brown and Joe Mazzulla and Jason Tatum. The three biggest names on that in that organization did not show up against the Heat. So this time around against the Heat, I think they'll be able to win it only because Jimmy Butler's not there, right? And I think this is really the only team that can. I think the Heat was the only real threat to Boston. Honestly, I don't see no other team that's a threat to them. So this might just be a cakewalk to the finals. But as of right now, For round one, I'm going with Boston Celtics. All right. Next, we got the Cavs and the Magic. All right. A lot of my picks are based on experience. Right. Have you been here before? We saw it last year with Memphis. We saw it last year with the Kings. A lot of young teams that come into the playoffs, they don't win because they go against experienced teams, teams that's already been there, done that, teams that has felt just the pressure of being in the playoffs. Right. The Magic. First of all, nobody thought they would be here, right? Secondly, they're going to use the Cavs. Donovan Mitchell, who has been a good playoff performer in history, not necessarily winning playoff series, but just his solo performance. He has been a great performer, and this Cavs team as a whole, majority of them have been in playoff situations. Look at Max Strus, a big addition for this team. He played on Miami last year with Gabe Vincent, Jimmy Butler, and all them. He was a big part of their run, so he's on this team now, so they have the experience. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the Cavs against the Magic. All right, next you got the Bucks and the Pacers. Look, the Bucks and Pacers series, Giannis is not playing at least for the first half of the series, right? But I do think that I'm still going with the Bucks because once again, who do you trust more? Damian Lillard or do you trust Tyrese Halliburton? Tyrese Halliburton started off this year great. I'm talking he was on pace to be first team All NBA, but then he got hurt and he fell off. You can see his game just wasn't the same no more. So Damian Lillard been here before, not necessarily make it and run, but he's been in playoff situations. This is Tyrese Halliburton first time in the playoffs, so you got to really look at it like that. Once again, experience. I got Doc Rivers against now Rick Carlisle. He won a championship with Dallas, right? So, but Doc also won a championship with Boston, so it's kind of levels out. But I got to go with the Bucks in this one. All right, I trust Dame. I trust Chris Middleton, who also was on that run with Giannis. I trust them more than I trust this young Pacers team, who the future is bright. Don't get it twisted. But as of right now, I got to go with the Bucks. All right. The 76ers and the Knicks. This one right here was a very hard series for me to pick. I'm going to lean towards the 76ers only because the Knicks are a great defensive team, but offensively, they only have one guy that can really create his own shot in Jalen Brunson, right? Julius Randle is hurt. Julius Randle not playing. He was that kind of that second star on the offensive side of the court. But Jalen Brunson, can he do it by himself against now? Joel Embiid is hurt. Don't get it twisted, right? He is like 70% maybe, but he also has Tyrese Maxey. He also has Tobias Harris, who is streaky, right? He can have good games, all right? Let's not act like he's just a scrub. But I think I trust the 76ers roster more than I trust the Knicks roster outside of Jalen Brunson and outside of Joel Embiid. Like, take out Jalen Brunson and Joel Embiid. Who does the Knicks have that's going to carry the load? Dante DiVincenzo, like, he's good. Don't get it twisted. But I do think that he is not Tyrese Maxey at all. He's not Tobias Harris, right? So I got to go with this Knicks team. And Kelly Oubre has also been a good addition for this Knicks team, for this 76ers team, sorry, for the 76ers. Kelly Oubre has been a great addition. So I'm going to go with the 76ers in this one just because I think their roster is more equipped to go through the playoffs versus the Knicks are a one-man wrecking crew. And if Jalen Brunson win, if the Knicks win this series, it's because Jalen Brunson averaged 30. Can he do it? No doubt. But if I had to pick a team, I'm going to pick the 76ers to win this series. All right. Now moving on to the Western side. All right. That was the Eastern side. I had Boston, the Cavs, the Bucks, and the 76ers. On the West side, the Thunder is going to go against. I picked the Kings to win tonight. So the Kings, whether it's the Kings or the Pelicans, I'm going with the Thunder. All right. I think the Thunder can beat teams that are the same in terms of experience, right? The Kings, they've been to the playoffs 1 year. They got bounced last year, but I do think the Thunder are better than the Kings. You look at if the Pelicans win, right? The Pelicans never haven't really been in the playoffs like that. But I would pick the Thunder over the Pelicans, right? I think it's just two teams that can't really rock with the Thunder. The only teams that I had the Thunder losing to was really every other team outside of the Pelicans and the Kings, right? Like if the Warriors got into this spot, I would pick the Warriors to beat the Thunder. All right, if it was the Lakers in this spot, I would pick the Lakers to beat the Thunder. If it was the Mavs, the Clippers, the Suns, the Timberwolves, the Nuggets, whoever, anybody else other than the Pelicans and Kings, I would pick them to beat the Thunder because of the experience factor. But they have about the same experience as the Kings and the Pelicans. The Kings only been 1 year, which was last year. So it's not really a great amount of experience compared to the Thunder. So I would just pick the better team. And the Thunder has been the better team this year, and they are the better team compared to the Pelicans and the Kings. So I'm going to go with the Thunder no matter who wins tonight between the Pelicans and the Kings. All right, next is the Mavs and the Clippers. This to me is going to be a box office matchup. All right, Kawhi Leonard once again this year. Remember there was a stretch whenever James Harden went to the Clippers, they got hot. Remember that? I think when he first got there, it was bad, but then eventually they got a rhythm, they got chemistry, and they started getting better. And everybody was saying, "Oh, the Clippers! Watch out for the Clippers! Here come the Clippers!" But every year we know Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, one of them is going to be hurt. And right now, Kawhi Leonard is hurt. I don't know if he's playing, especially in the early part of this series. I'm not sure what's really wrong with him. There hasn't really been any big reports, but he's been missing the past couple of weeks of basketball. And it's normally like it's right on time. Like he around the playoffs time, remember last year, Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs got hurt, didn't come back. There was no report about what happened to him to the end of the playoffs, and they finally said what happened. But Kawhi Leonard, his health means a lot to this team, and Paul George as well. So when either one of them is down, I'm not picking this team to win anything. And I knew it was going to happen because it happens every single year. But as always, people are prisoners of the moment. The Clippers look so good right now. It's an 82 game season. This is why I say I don't like talking about basketball so early because stuff like this happens. People overhype the Clippers. You know Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, one of them not going to finish the year. And as of right now, it looks like Kawhi is not going to finish the year. But on the flip side, the Mavs have been red hot right now. Like Luka, but to me, is the MVP this year. Should be. He's been red hot, and Kyrie has really come along. It has worked out better than I expected. Because last year I was so against this trade when they went and they got Kyrie Irving because I was like, dude, you can't have two primary ball handlers on the same team, especially when it's Luka. Luka has the ball in his hands every single series. Like he brings the ball down, he facilitates, he scores. He does it all. But him and Kyrie has found a balance. I think LeBron to me is easier to play with because LeBron can play off ball. So for those of y'all thinking that well, Kyrie played with LeBron, he can play off ball as well. We've seen it throughout his whole entire career. Luka is a I need the ball in my hand so I can make a play kind of guy. And for him and Kyrie to have meshed the way that they have, I'm honestly shocked. And they are really hot right now. When they added Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington, those are two huge additions that they needed for not only rim protection but just paint presence because they really didn't have bigs like that. And PJ Washington is also a shooter, so he can get hot from the outside. So I think that the Mavs really made a good roster at the trade deadline. Kyrie and Luka finally got a chemistry to where it's not really okay. I get the ball this possession, you get the ball next possession. They really learn how to play together. So this team led by Jason Kidd, I'm going to pick the Mavs to beat the Clippers in round one. All right, the Suns and the Timberwolves. I got to go with the Suns. All right, I'm not really a big fan of Timberwolves. Once again, this is a team that really doesn't have any playoff experience. Rudy Gobert does, but Rudy Gobert is known for getting bounced in the playoffs. He's known for underperforming in the playoffs. All right, so I think that he has a lot to do with the fact that I'm picking the Suns to win this series. I'm picking KD and D Book over Anthony Edwards and Carl Anthony Towns. That's normally how it rolls whenever I pick teams. For one, the experience, and for two, who stars do I trust the most? So I trust D Book and KD. I think they would get past the Timberwolves in this series. It might be a good series. Might go down to the wire to a 7 game, maybe a 6 game, but I'm gonna take the Suns in this one just because the Timberwolves, to me, they're a good defensive team, but I don't think they have enough scoring. Like Anthony Edwards is not a consistent scorer. This year he averaged like 25, 26 points, something like that. So they don't have somebody that can just light the scoreboard up consistently every single night, which would guarantee them points, right? Like some nights Anthony Edwards might not show up, especially we haven't seen him in the playoffs. We haven't seen him perform that well in the playoffs yet. So it's going to be interesting to see that, but I'm going to pick the Suns, no doubt about it. Then the Nuggets and the Lakers. I can't be foolish, y'all. I can't do it. I can't sit up here and give false hope. I can't do it. I got to go with the Nuggets, all right? I think the Lakers are the only team that can beat the Nuggets. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers did win this series, but I'm going to go with the Nuggets if I had to put money on it today. Just because they have the best starting five in all of basketball. And for some reason, the Lakers and Nuggets just don't match up well. Like anytime the Lakers play the Nuggets, the Lakers underperform, or Anthony Davis underperforms, or it's just not a good matchup. It's like they just have our number. So I got to go with the Nuggets in that one. It's going to be better this year than it was last year. 'Cause remember, last year was a sweep. But I'm going to talk about that more later on in the show. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Nuggets over the Lakers. All right. So those are all my first round picks heading going into tomorrow. So y'all make sure y'all check out the NBA playoffs because it officially starts tomorrow. Like the play-in tournament has been throughout the week, but tomorrow the first round games begin. All right. Next, y'all, for those of y'all that watch or listen to the Breakfast Club, Y'all remember? I don't know if they still do it or not because I'm not a consistent listener. I just listen like when they have one of my favorite celebrities up there to talk to have an interview. But remember that donkey of the day that Charlamagne used to do right on the radio? Well, this is donkey of the week. Might be donkey of the year. All right, Jontay Porter, the brother of Michael Porter Jr., who we all know in Denver. Nobody really knew who Jontay Porter was until this week, but his brother Michael Porter Jr. won a championship with the Denver Nuggets last year. All right, Jontay Porter, better luck bet. That's all I gotta say, because that's what he's gonna have to do for the rest of his life to bring in some extra income, because he's not gonna bring it in from the NBA no more, because the NBA has gave him a life ban. All right, he is banned for life from the NBA. Let me tell you why. Okay, Jontay Porter was signed on December 8th to the Toronto Raptors because of injuries, right? The Raptors had a whole bunch of injuries, so they had to sign some players from the G League, etc. And they signed Jontay Porter, right? He played 26 games total. This is what happened. This is why he's banned. All right, DraftKings Sportbook. All right, for those of y'all that bet, we all know who DraftKings is. DraftKings Sportbook said that Porter's props. All right, so what he was betting on, like his the props, whether it was just for example, like point scored, assist, or whatever the prop is. All right, that's a prop. A prop is what you bet whenever you bet on sports. All right, so Porter's props resulted in the most winnings for the NBA that night. All right. An NBA investigation later discovered that Porter, Jontay Porter, disclosed confidential information about his own health status to an individual he knew to be an NBA bettor. All right, ahead of the March 20th. So this was on March 20th. Back in March, this happened. I guess the investigation just went through and they found out this week. But the bettor that he gave information to placed an $80,000 player prop parlay to win 1.1 million. All right, wagering that Jontay Porter would underperform in that game. So basically, Jontay Porter plays for the Raptors. All right, that game, I believe he told this guy, whoever it is, whether it's his friend or it's anybody, ahead of time. He said, "Hey, I'm a little under the weather, or just bet my under tonight." All right, Jontay Porter went in at the end of the first quarter. I think he had 2 rebounds. He didn't score at all. But then, so normally people that go in at the end of the first quarter, they start the second quarter, right? Jontay Porter did not show back up on the court. It came back out that he was not going to return to the game because of an illness. All right, so when you bet the under on a player, right, and he played, then you're gonna get that money because Jontay Porter did not return to the game. So that person that bet on Jontay Porter got money because they bet the under. Jontay Porter told them to bet the under. So that's that. First of all, that's illegal right there. It's like insider trading. You can't do that. But also, the NBA and the NFL, I think every single major league in sports, whether it's MLB, whether it's hockey, whether it's football, basketball, you can't bet. That's in the contract. Players cannot bet. And here's why. A lot of people saying, well, it's their money. They should be able to do whatever they want with their money. But this is what the problem is. When when the public find out that players in the NBA and NFL are betting, that basically means that they're predetermining games. All right, they're throwing away games so they can win money, or they're telling the other team, don't play us too rough because I got money. Let's win tonight. Some players even betting on their own teams to lose games, which is so. It's like you're basically predetermining. It's like it's already decided because the players want to win money, so they're gonna do whatever they got to do to win the money versus doing what they got to do to win. That's why players cannot bet NBA or NFL. Remember, not too long ago, Calvin Ridley in the NFL receiver for the Atlanta Hawks, he got suspended the whole year for betting. You just can't do it. It's in the contract. Whenever you become an NFL player, NBA player, you can't bet no more on when it comes to like prize picks or when it comes to DraftKings, stuff like that. You can go to the casino and bet all you want to, but you cannot bet on games. You cannot bet on player stats. You just can't do it, especially on your own. Like I could see if he got in trouble for betting on, let's say he bet on Anthony Davis to score a certain amount of points, then I'll be like, okay, it's not that bad. But he bet on himself. He had somebody else bet on him, and he took himself out the game so they can win that bet. All right. So to me, stupidity, right? Stupidity that whatever he did was stupid. But at the end of the day, you can't bet. No means no, right? You just can't do it, especially if it's in your contract. And the fact that Porter made $2,397,933 exact from playing basketball, and he made $21,000 betting, basically $22,000 betting. Like I understand you want to increase your everybody want to increase their pockets. Everybody want to add money to their pockets. But for one, you can't do it. It's in your contract. You can't do it. And for two, you basically gave up a $2 million that you won that you made. Sorry, in I don't know how many years he's been in the league. Let's say like 3, 4 years he's been in the league, right? Because I believe in 2020 and 2021 he played for the Memphis Grizzlies. So 2021 and 2022. So he's been in the league for a couple years, not too long. He's already made 2 million. Some people will never make 2 million in their life. Some people won't. So the fact that you made the 2 million and then you're betting doing something that you're not supposed to do in the NBA, to me, is just stupidity at its best. This is Donkey of the Week, Jontay Porter. All right, I'm honestly feel like I'm wasting my time talking about this because it's just stupid, right? But I figure I talked about it because it's one of the biggest things trending as of right now. All right, but next we'll move on to the Miami Heat. I'm not gonna spend too much time on this. I'm going to get straight to the point on this one. Um, the Miami Heat. Look, this year. I made a video earlier this year and just the other day saying that it's that time of the year. It's time for Miami to turn up. I said I can guarantee you a lot of things. I can guarantee you that the sun will come up. I can guarantee you that the moon will come up at night, right? I can also guarantee you that the Miami Heat come playoff time will make a run. They do it all the time. I believe out of the past, they made two finals right in the past like 4 years, 5 years, something along those lines. So the Miami Heat is just their culture. It's the way they're coached. Eric Spoelstra is the best coach in the league. He proved it last year when he took a team with one star and Jimmy Butler and a bunch of nice role players. He took them to the championship. Unfortunately, he played a team that had two stars and had a great amount of role players around them, and he was just outmatched, right? Like he almost proved that you need good coaching in the NBA. You don't just need stars, you need good coaching. He almost changed the landscape of the NBA because some teams might just say, you know what, instead of overpaying stars and overpaying these big name players, let's just find an Eric Spoelstra, right? A great coach. Let's put some great role players and maybe one star with him and see what we can do. He almost changed the landscape of basketball, but at some point you do need stars. You do need people to make shots. You do need people to make plays. And unfortunately, his team couldn't do it to the extent they wanted to or they had to in the finals last year. So and that's why I trust the team because of him. He's just the best coach in the league to me. And then if y'all watching the game when Jimmy Butler got hurt, y'all see Pat Riley and Alonzo Mourning in the crowd with their suits on, look like the mafia. All right, it look like they on Goodfellas or something like that. Like this team, this organization is just crisp. Like it's just something you don't want to bet against when it comes to basketball with the Miami Heat. So that's why I said they will make a run. But unfortunately, Jimmy Butler got hurt. He expected to miss several weeks with a right MCL injury. Like you already didn't have much around him, if that makes sense. Like Miami scoring is limited unless they get very hot, right? Last year they lost Max Strus and they lost Gabe Vincent, two players that Gabe Vincent kind of created his own shot. He plays for the Lakers right now. You saw him the other night. He started to come along and look like his old self from last year. But Gabe Vincent and Max Strus, who just a spot up shooter, can shoot from anywhere. Like those two players left Miami last year, but they kind of last year Tyler Hero was hurt. He's back this year, and then they also added Terry Rozier. I'm not sure of his status. I don't remember seeing him play the other night. But then you also look at their rookie Hawkins from UCLA. They replaced those two essentially, right? They essentially replaced those two, but it's still not enough when you go against the Boston Celtics and you go against when you go against teams like maybe even the Bucks with Giannis, when you go against teams like even the 76ers, right? You need scoring to beat those teams. So whenever you don't have Jimmy Butler, you really can't score like that, so I can't pick you to win games. So to me, this Miami team turned from to me, I was gonna pick them to make a finals run. I was gonna do it if Jimmy Butler was healthy, but the fact that he's not healthy, and we all know Jimmy Butler is one of the greatest playoff performers ever. Like Jimmy Butler literally coasts through the year, coasts through the season, and then the playoffs he go ham. He goes stupid. He get buckets in the playoffs. So the fact they don't have that, which is what they desperately need, to me, they're just done for. So no matter how good of a coach Eric Spoelstra is, he cannot get this team out of this hole, right? So unfortunately, without Jimmy Butler, I think they're done. Come this, well, whatever the first round is over with, I think they will no longer be in the run. But It's just very unfortunate, man. This is what I talk about in the NBA, in the NFL season, man. Turn the injuries off. I just want to see a full year, whether it's NBA or NFL, with no injuries. Let's see who the best team really is. Because I feel like when somebody gets hurt, we always see a team that really was going to make a run, not make that run because they don't have their best player. Like to me, I feel like I just want to see one season football and basketball with no injuries so we can see who the real champ is because injuries always alter outcomes. They always do. And unfortunately, they did for Miami. All right. Next, I want to talk about the Lakers and the Nuggets rematch. We got two more subjects to go, two more topics to go. The Lakers and Nuggets rematch. All right. I picked the Nuggets to win this series, and I just did a couple minutes ago. But the Lakers, I'm gonna tell y'all how they can win this series. I think I really have the blueprint for how they can beat the Nuggets. All right. So I wish Darvin Ham could see this because and Darvin Ham he said something that was so crazy the other night after they beat the Pelicans. He came out and said, "We want all the smoke. We ain't ducking no fades." I really sat in my room like, oh my God. No, he didn't just say, no, you didn't. Like, bro, they swept you last year, right? You haven't beat them since Darvin had been a coach with LA. He has not beat them. So to me, brother, keep your mouth shut. Just stop. Like, no, don't add more fuel to the fire. Just keep your mouth shut. Go out there and put together a good game plan. But he already popping his chops. Darvin, I hope that don't come back to bite you in the butt. But I wish Darvin was listening because I think I do have the blueprint for how the Lakers can beat the Nuggets. All right. You got to give Joker the Zach Edey treatment. What is the Zach Edey treatment? Some of y'all might be asking yourself, what is that? What's the Zach Edey treatment? So for those of y'all that don't know, there was a 7-2, 7-4, I think 7-2, 7-4, Asian player that played for Purdue, Big Zach Edey. Y'all can look him up. Zach Edey. He won the Player of the Year award for college basketball. He went to the national championship against UConn. Okay, so Purdue and UConn played national championship. And I even asked myself, I wonder how UConn's going to approach Purdue because all throughout the tournament, teams are so worried about Zach Edey that everybody else eats. The other four players on the court get open shots and they knock them down. Purdue has shooters, right? So Zach Edey would end up with still getting his, right? Because he's too big, you can't stop him. But then the rest of the team would get theirs as well. That's why there was too much for anybody to beat until they got to the national championship against UConn. What UConn did was UConn said, you know what? Instead of double teaming Zach Edey, instead of even giving him so much attention that we're letting other people shoot, we gonna let Zach Edey eat. Let him eat. He had 37 points. Purdue scored 60 points. Zach Edey had 37 points. That means the rest of the team only scored 23. That's not gonna cut it, right? That's why they lost that game to UConn, right? UConn said, Zach Edey, I'm gonna let you eat, but I'm not gonna let nobody else eat. Not gonna do it. I'm not gonna let y'all get open shots because we're double teaming Zach Edey. I'm not gonna let y'all get open shots because we're trying to run a zone to prevent Zach Edey from dominating. UConn said, you know what? Zach Edey, get yours. It's gonna be 1-on-5. Because only one of y'all gonna really score. Five of us gonna be scoring on our side. The Lakers can do the same thing against the Nuggets. Do not double team Joker. Let AD guard Joker 1-on-1 with no help. Do not help. Let Joker eat. Let Joker score 40. Let him. Because I think you have a better chance on beating the Nuggets whenever Joker's eating versus when Jamal Murray's eating, when Aaron Gordon's eating, when Michael Porter Jr. is eating, when Contavious Caldwell Pope is eating, and when Joker's eating. Right? Like Joker's stat line has to be like 40, maybe 11 rebounds and 5 assists. It has to be. It can't be 28, 12, and 15 because you're going to lose. Because that's 15 assists plus 28 points. And then you got Jamal Murray getting points off those assists. Like, you can't do that. You have to let him go with AD 1-on-1. Everybody else, stay attached to the shooters. Stay attached. D'Lo, stay attached to Jamal Murray. Do not let him get no open looks. All right, Austin Reeves, stay attached to Michael Porter Jr. LeBron, stay attached to Aaron Gordon. All right, Contavious Caldwell Pope, whoever he gonna be guarding. Rui Hachimura, stay attached to whoever you guard between Michael Porter Jr. and Contavious Caldwell Pope. Stay attached. Let Joker eat. Because Joker's not really a shooter. Like, he doesn't go in the perimeter and shoot. 9 times out of 10, he shoot like a nice little midi or something like that. But 9 times out of most of his game is in the paint. All right, hook shots, fadeaways. All right, like that's his game. He's not really going to go out to the 3 point line and just tear you up unless he's wide open. Like, he's not like that. So that's not his game. All right, so let Joker eat. I think Anthony Davis, if he like Anthony Davis has proven that he can't guard Joker, but I don't see Joker just giving him 40 like straight buckets. Like, AD is gonna make him struggle a little bit, but you have to let Joker eat. Do not let Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., and Contagious Caldwell Pope eat. If you can do that, if you can make it LeBron and AD versus Joker, LeBron, AD, and D'Lo versus Joker, versus making it be LeBron and AD versus Joker and Jamal Murray. Like, you have to just let Joker eat. You cannot let him get others involved. And the only way you can do that is if you play one on one, let AD guard him, everybody else stay attached. Do not come in and help. Let Joker eat, because most of his points are going to be twos, right? So if I can exchange all your twos with our twos plus our threes, hey, we might have a series. We could probably win this series, all right? So that's my advice to the Lakers, all right? Because last year, when you look at the numbers, Jamal Murray was the main reason why this team won. It wasn't Joker. Joker had a great series. He had a great run to the playoffs, everything. He won Finals MVP, all of that. A great run through the playoffs, sorry. But Jamal Murray averaged 33 points against the Lakers last year. 32 and a half, 33 points against the Lakers last year. That cannot happen. That he's the main reason why they won. That's why they swept the Lakers in that series. He shot 52% from the field. He just was not missing. All right. So he is the kryptonite of the Lakers. It's not Joker. Joker gonna get his regardless. But don't let Jamal Murray get his. All right. And then on the flip side, D'Angelo Russell was a huge reason why they got swept as well, because D'Angelo Russell only averaged 6 points per game. He shot 32% from the field. D'Angelo Russell became unplayable at some point because Darvin Ham just wasn't playing them. He kept playing Dennis Schroeder over D'Angelo Russell because he just wasn't getting the job done. He was a shell of himself. All right. So to me, when you look at that series last year, it was a close sweep. It was a close sweep. It wasn't a real sweep. It was a close sweep because every game the Lakers lost by 6, 5, 9, and 2. They lost every single game by single digits, and it came down to the fourth quarter. Like, it wasn't just they was up by 6 all game and they exchanged baskets. No, it came down to the fourth quarter. Either Lakers lost the lead or the Nuggets barely won by 6, 5, 9, and 2. Like, that's what happened last year. So for people to come out and say the Nuggets will easily win this series, I disagree. Like, I would pick the Nuggets, but I don't think they're gonna easily win this series. If the Lakers can just let Joker eat, limit Jamal Murray, don't let Michael Porter Jr. get open shots, don't let KCP get open shots, then we'll have a series. And at the end of the day, it's gonna be LeBron and AD. Are you gonna show up offensively? That's what it's gonna come down to. Can we outscore Joker? Do not let Jamal Murray average 33 points. Like, that just cannot happen. So to me, that's the formula for the Lakers if they want to beat the Nuggets. I'm going to pick the Nuggets. So I'm going to be real. I think the Nuggets are a better team. But if anybody can beat them, it's the Lakers. If the Nuggets win this series, I got them going to the finals. Like, there's nobody else that can stop them. But I do think the Lakers can match up with them. And I do think they can win this game, win this series. Darvin Ham, I'm praying you heard that. I know you didn't hear it, but just make me feel good about myself. I'm praying you heard that. All right. Last topic of the day, we're gonna talk about the end of the dynasty for the Golden State Warriors. Is it the end of the dynasty? Is it? We saw them lose to the Kings the other night. We saw Curry only put up 23 points in a elimination game. Like, to me, a lot of people talking about Klay Thompson, the fact that he went over 10. Um, Curry didn't. Curry wasn't Curry, if that makes sense. Like, in an elimination game, you expect Curry, especially when he sees Klay Thompson and got it going. I expect Curry to take the game over, regardless, right? But he couldn't. He didn't really have. He didn't have a great night. Like, people saying that it wasn't Curry's fault. I think Curry had something to do with that, because maybe if he did get hot, maybe if he did try to carry the team, maybe it would have uplifted some of his teammates. You never know, right? But I think Curry was not good enough. Like, the stars, there was no star on that Golden State team that night. Like, Curry came out in the second half and scored 5 straight points like that, and then kind of just faded away. Like, I just don't see why he didn't try to take the game over. People gonna say, well, they took the ball out of his hands, but hey, I need my stars to ball. Period. All right, so and then people blaming Klay Thompson and Steve Kerr, but I think some of the blame got to go to Curry as well. But just looking at this dynasty as a whole, this is the real dynasty that I think my generation got to experience. We don't really remember San Antonio like that. Like I was young when San Antonio had their dynasty, but you got to look at the Warriors. This is the only real dynasty I think my generation and most of y'all have actually experienced. All right, so just looking back on it, 518 wins, regular season and the playoffs. We're talking about Draymond, Clay, and Steph, right? Those three, the big three. They had 518 wins in the regular season and the playoffs. That's the sixth most all time by a trio. We look at 98 playoff wins, third most by a trio, and then they have four rings together. Four. Tied for most last 50 seasons with Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili. So they're tied with that San Antonio Spurs dynasty. Yeah, like I said, I didn't really get to witness it for real, for real. Like I was watching basketball, but I wasn't really comprehending it because of how young I was. But it this was a great run. Is it over? I'm not gonna say that because the year Curry and them won the year before last, they beat the Celtics. The year before that, people wrote them off. They said the Warriors are done. It's over. The dynasty is done. They had to blow it up and start over. Then they came back and won a championship the very next year. So I'm not gonna sit here and just bet against the Warriors. Now next year, regardless of what move they make, will they be the best team in the West? Nah. You still got the Thunder that's on the come up. Even the Thunder is number one seed this year, but they're still getting better. They're not going nowhere. Minnesota, next year they will have some more experience. They're gonna get better. You look at the Lakers, as long as LeBron and AD there, they're not going nowhere. You look at the Mavericks with Luca and Kyrie. If Kyrie comes back, like they still gonna be better than the Warriors. So the Warriors will not be the best team in the conference ever again. I don't think they will. But to count them out and say they can't do it, they can't get hot and go on a run, to me is crazy. A big thing that they gotta figure out is what they're gonna do with Klay Thompson, right? Klay Thompson. A couple of teams are out there that has come out and said they want Klay Thompson. I think I've heard the Magic want him. I think I've heard a couple of teams actually want him. The Magic for sure. I think I heard it want him. But people can use Klay. Like Klay is not what he was. He's a shell of himself, but he can still be. If you like diminish his role, because to me, Jonathan Kaminga wasn't consistent enough to be labeled as the number two. Like so, to me, Klay Thompson was always the number two option this year because I don't think Jonathan Kaminga was just consistent enough. He had a great year, right? To me, he could be one of the most improved players this year. But I do think that Klay Thompson was always the number two option because you really couldn't rely on Jonathan Kaminga night in and night out to do what he did some nights. So if you can diminish Klay Thompson's role, he can be a player off the bench. He can be a spot up shooter the whole game. I don't see why he can't be effective. Like I don't think Klay Thompson is just done. Like I think the days of him creating his own shot and the days of him just dribbling and pulling up, I think those days are over. But I do think you can put him in the corner and say, hey, hit these shots or knock down these shots because he can always get hot. He's a splash brother for a reason, one of the greatest shooters of all time. And to me, during his dynasty, he was the deadliest shooter to me between him and Curry. Like I was more scared of Clay shooting threes than I was of Curry shooting threes. Because Clay was just that spot up shooter. Every time he caught it, it was in, it was cash. So I think that he could be effective somewhere else. But do you bring him back if you're Golden State? Like, because Curry said in his post game conference after the game when they lost, he said, I don't see myself playing with nobody else. He was talking about Klay Thompson and Draymond. So if you take away Klay Thompson, what do you do to the mind of Steph Curry? Like that's what you got to really think about. So can you bring him back for cheap? Will he come back for cheap is the question. I don't know. So I got to see what this team does over the offseason. Do they add some really nice role players to go around Steph? But I'm not gonna write them off. I'm not gonna say it's the end of a dynasty. I can't do that because that's just, we saw it the year before last. We saw it. We saw them come back and win it when people wrote them off and said it was done for. But this is a dynasty that we all gotta appreciate. Even me, I became a LeBron fan when LeBron came back to Cleveland. Like the year LeBron won is the year that he pulled me in. Right, I became an all-around LeBron fan. I really wasn't a LeBron fan in Miami. I was a LeBron fan back in Cleveland, and ever since I've been a LeBron fan. So I had to witness them battle in the finals every single year, Golden State and LeBron. So I do, to a degree, I appreciate the Warriors because every year in the NBA season started, we was like, okay, Call me when the playoffs start, because we all know it's going to be Golden State and Cleveland. Like, it was going back to back every single year. But of course, the Golden State Warriors got the best out of LeBron because they won 4 times. So, and then when they added Kevin Durant, that was to me that was just unfair. But hey, it counted, right? They got 2 rings out of them. So I do think that this was a great run. And will it continue? I'm gonna have to. If I had to say it, I'm gonna say yes. All right, I'm not gonna bet against the Warriors. And then one more thing, I think Draymond Green really hurt them this year because of all the suspensions. Like, at first, Draymond Green is the enforcer. He's the guy that's gonna put hands on people. He's the guy that's he don't get thrown out the game for doing crazy. Like, that's just his role. He's played it very well. Draymond is probably the greatest non-superstar player of all time. Like, you look at all the superstars in history, that's when you make your top 5, your top 10. If you made a top 5, top 10 of non-superstars, I think Draymond Green is up there because he's not really a superstar. He's just a great role player. Like, he plays his role to a T, and nobody does it better to me. So Draymond really hurt them a lot last year with punching Jordan Poole. That whole thing with choking Rudy Gobert, stomping on Sabonis last year, even though they still won that series, stomping on Sabonis. The Rudy Gobert thing, the Jordan Poole thing this year, he also got thrown out of the game and had Curry on the court crying, right? Like, Draymond, at first I think it was helping, but now it's hurting more than anything because this Warriors team not the same. It's different when Draymond Green got ejected and suspended when they had a deep team, when they had a great roster. Now they really don't have a great roster. So, Draymond, you need to be on the court. So all the antics that you used to do when the team was loaded, you can't really do that no more because the team is not stacked. They need you on the court more than they need you off the court. So I think Draymond really hurt this team the past 2 years with suspensions and just the off court madness, right? But they gave him a 4-year deal going into this year, so he has 3 more years on it. So I don't see them moving Draymond Green at all. But we'll see what they do. If I had to say today is the end of the dynasty, I'm gonna say no, just because of the greatness of Curry. Steve Kerr, people don't give him credit because Mark Jackson kind of assembled the Splash Brothers and Draymond Green, and then Steve Kerr came and took it over. Then they started winning after Mark Jackson got fired. But I think Steve Kerr had something to do with the winning. Like, you can't, to me, you can't put a bad coach on a good roster. Eventually, the bad coach is going to come out. Like, you're going to see it. But during that run, Steve Kerr he was getting the job done. So I can't. I'm gonna say it's Mark Jackson. It's Mark Jackson's foundation. He built that foundation, but Steve Kerr helped and added. So I'm not gonna blame him either. And I'm not gonna count him out. So I do think this team is gonna be just fine. Will they be back to the top ever again? I don't know. But will they be that consistent in the play-in, in the playoffs? Will they be that team? Yes, that's not who they want to be, but that's who they will be for the foreseeable future. But it's not the end of a dynasty. I can't count them out. I just can't do it. All right. But that is it for today's episode, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do an episode next week, and it's gonna be weird trying to do episodes during the playoffs because the playoffs are every single day, right? Like, it's a new team playing every day, so I'm gonna try to find a rhythm and try to find a way to consistently get out episodes. I might do a lot of episodes on a lot of videos on social media about these series. And so make sure that y'all follow my Instagram, my Facebook is on the bottom of the screen because I think the majority of my videos throughout the week is going to be on there. I'm going to still do probably 2 episodes next week of the Straight to the Point podcast on YouTube, but follow these accounts on the bottom of the screen if you want consistent videos of me talking about the playoffs. I think that's what I'm gonna have to do just because of how hectic the schedule is about to be. All right. But I appreciate y'all for tuning in and watching the Straight to the Point podcast, man. I'm gonna see y'all again next week. Much love. Enjoy the NBA playoffs because after this is over. We got the NBA playoffs to look forward to. We got the NFL drafts to look forward to. After the NBA playoffs is a wraps. There's no sports on. Baseball fans got baseball, but for us that really rock with football and basketball, we ain't got nothing. All right, so y'all make sure y'all enjoy these playoffs. Root for y'all favorite teams. Once again, Lakers. I picked the Nuggets today. I'm not taking it back. I'm going with the Nuggets. If you listen to my game plan, though, y'all might pull it out. All right, but much love. Y'all stay blessed. Y'all stay safe. I'm out.